let's be fair, Yash Raj is not known to make realistic content. It's very aspirational content that they make. So this is all about the Bhopal cast. So I was trying to see what the Yash Raj angle to something like this will be. But all that vanished the moment I met Shiv and I saw the script. Immediately I was curious to know only one thing is why would Yash Raj want to invest in a script like this, and they were investing a lot of money. I would dare say the cost of a high budget film.
Both your releases have been on Netflix. You know, Kala was something that it was a critical success, commercial. I mean, people loved it. Friday Night Plan was something that it didn't create that kind of a buzz. How do you look at the two things, and how does it make you even stronger?
Friday Night Plan didn't create?
What the kind of buzz that?
I didn't know this. Netflix, you lied to me.
I mean, it was okay.
यार ये मेरे को पहली बार पता चल रहा है. This is the good reaction you got. This is the first time I have actually looked upon the success.
I hope Netflix doesn't cancel my subscription. Thank you so much.
समझ तो आ रहा है भाई सबको. I think ये ठीक है. Yeah.
Gentlemen, welcome to CNN News 18.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to chat with you about the Railwayman. I wanted to start with you, KK sir. Its life has come for a full circle, right? I mean, your first actual film, the first scene itself, you're trying to stop a train in Bhopal Express, and out here again, you're trying to stop a train.
Yes.
Tell us this whole journey from 99 to 23.
They didn't succeed, the other succeeded.
You almost succeeded. You just kind of you chose the wrong train to stop.
Yeah. So the crux of it is that I was aware of the tragedy and its full horrific glory. So that helped me a lot when I was doing this. And but the prism was different here. It was from the point of view of the railwayman, and that's what excited me the most. The tragedy, as she was saying earlier, is available to read up on, on the net, etc., etc. But this is a new angle that we have explored of an organization which is so integral to the growth and the entire existence of our country, called the railways.
Sure.
So seldom do people realize that the kind of stressful job it is, whose job is not just to reach a person from A to B, but to reach him or her safely. And that's the main part of a profession like that. And we have all sat in trains, travelled in trains. We don't realize the kind of job it is for the person who's taking us there. So all this revelation kind of comes in when you are actually reading the script for the first time. And the fact that these people perhaps were the most qualified to go beyond their duty and do it, because they are in tune with keeping things safe. And but it requires exemplary human courage to do that. And that's where this script and this series is completely different from anything else. I don't think anybody has really focused on one organization and their contribution towards saving people in times of horrific tragedy.
Right. Shiv, I'd like to ask you this, and all of you all can add to it. I mean, when I watched the series, the crux, what I came to know, or what I could take back, is the story of hope. Would you agree that this is the story of hope, and that's what the entire thing was built on?
Absolutely. The story is of hope. I'm so glad you got that, because that was our. I mean, we've been giving tons of interviews, and I've always been talking about this, that on the darkest night in history, in modern history in India, there is a story of hope. And that was the motivation to make the Railwayman, a story of human spirit, compassion, resilience, fighting against all odds. That heroes exist without capes, and you don't need to be a hero every day. There could be one moment in your life that changes you and becomes a hero, like the gentleman's character, and every small instance like that. When do you cross the boundary of your own personal this? Because in a situation like this, if you ran away, you wouldn't totally be wrong, because sometimes
it's very easy for someone.
I mean, and it's human. You have family at home, you're thinking of them, but these men chose not to, and they chose to leave their family behind to be at the duty, because it's their domain and they have to do it. And for the three of them, at the station itself, and for someone like Rati Pandey, played by Maddie sir, coming like, sab Bhopal se bhag rahe hain, koi Bhopal ko bhag raha hai. That whole thing that, someone actually did that, it's scary to think about it now. And put in the same situation, you wonder, would you do it?
Yeah.
But hopefully the series ignites that hope in everyone, and you realize that there is that glint of hope in the human spirit, and don't give up on it.
Would you like to add something to this? What he said? I mean, was that probably also the point where you thought, okay, this is something that we'd want to be a part of? I mean, the story of hope.
Oh, that is one of it, for sure. I mean, there were many reasons why we wanted to be part of what I think is a very historical sort of a project. Yeah. But like Shiv just said, it is one of the darkest nights. It's a story of courage also. Just not just hope. It just shows how it's a great reflection of the Indian mentality. I've said this often. In Mumbai, if you want to see the true spirit of Mumbai, then see it during a problem. We'll have all sorts of differences now, fights, disagreements and stuff and that. But let a calamity strike, and you will see how a normal individual comes together.
Yeah.
And it was Bhopal's turn. It was the turn of the railways. It was the turn of the people of Bhopal, and they could have easily run away from it. But they, it required a different mindset and a build-up to know very well that this could be your last night, and you want to spend it serving others or saving others. Absolutely.
Babil, you'd like to add?
Yeah, I didn't know much about the tragedy, being from this generation. I don't know much, as in I knew a little, how much you know through general knowledge, right? Yeah. But I hadn't felt, what it must have been for them. But what attracted me first, it was not the tragedy itself, but it was the perspective with which he was looking at the concept of heroism, and that a hero doesn't have to be grand and have superpowers, that every person in this room has a hero within themselves, and at the point of crisis, it is how you look at the crisis and the decision you make which ignites the hero within you. I think that if the audience can see, and if that motivates the hero within them, I think that's what truly attracted me.
Right. Divyenndu?
Yeah, it's according to me, it's still very fresh.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about 1984. Talking about World War I, World War II.
Yeah.
So the people who got affected by it are still very much there, and to just have a story which can actually start this discussion again, what happened to them, how it happened, the unsaid heroes, the railwaymen, jinka we've never seen anything from their perspective, so to say. Otherwise also in our Indian film industry, not many films have been made, on railwaymen or this thing. So to have a fresher perspective about the whole tragedy I think it's important to say the story.
Right. Shiv, was this always planned as a mini-series? Was that something, or initially, like when you decided to direct it, the whole idea was making into a film? Was it a discussion about between a film and a series?
I remember when this story came to us. Ayush, who's the writer of Railwayman, and who's done a phenomenal job with the screenplay. He gave me this one page. He was introduced to me by mutual contact, and when he gave me this one-page script, my mind was blown. I was like, telling such a tale from this lens, from this perspective, is so interesting. And I remember taking it to Aditya Chopra at Yash Raj Films and, telling him that, I have something which I think is going to be fascinating, because it's a riveting tale, told about a topic that can be so grim and so dark, right? So I remember we started working on it, and that time it indeed was a film script. Okay. And when we wrote everything out, we realized that because of the constraints of cinema filmmaking, we found ourselves having to remove things which couldn't make it, because of you want to make something which is 2 hours, 2.5 hours at the max, and it's how the business works, right? And at the same time, Yash Raj Films was starting YRF Entertainment, and we were looking to set into the world of streaming, And I remember Adi sir coming to me and telling me that, Shiv, that story, do you feel like you want to do it into mini series? Like, do you feel you want to do it as a series? And I was like, yes, because I was so attached to every moment in that script. Like, I was like, I don't want to let this go, I don't let this go. And then that was like, so liberating for me and Ayush, because there are some stories that just meant to be told over here. Then YRF taking a step to like into the streaming world with this story, and then us getting the time. Obviously, the film script and this are two very different things, because it's a different kind of storytelling, right? For the two different long formats. So that's how it started, and obviously I'm so glad it was made into a series. And 4 episodes, it's hopefully gripping, it's riveting. You feel engaged throughout, and that was the whole idea. We didn't want to go beyond the story. We wanted to give as much time as needed for the story, and that's what we've tried to do.
My question is for all of you all. I mean, we are kind of living in dark times in terms of, a lot of things are happening around us which are not very positive. At that point of time, when you are coming out with a story of a tragedy, how do you see the people reacting to it? Because, in a normal daily lives also, we are, grappling with certain issues personally, or, otherwise also when we open the social media or something. It's again something that is happening somewhere in the world or also in our own city.
Yeah.
At that point of time, when you're coming with the main crux of the story is a tragedy that happened and how people survive.
Why exactly something like this is hopefully the need of the hour, because even though it's about like a tragic event and a disaster that happened in our country, the fact that it's about people who rose up to the occasion and who went beyond that. So when people do experience this, we hope that they are moved like how you were, in a more positive way, rather than take it away in a sense that it kind of like gets them thinking in a negative way, which it will probably stir a conversation like that. But the overwhelming factor should be, and hopefully we hope, is that people have a sense of respect, have a sense of a faith restored.
Right.
You said the main crux of the story is the tragedy.
Yeah,
which is not. I mean,
I don't think
the backdrop of the story is a tragedy.
Yeah.
The main crux of the story is the
hope
is
and the
the
survival.
railwaymen and these
Exactly.
people. Yeah.
It's the fact that you can be a hero. You don't have to have a cape. You don't have to have superpowers. You just have to take the step in the direction of humanity and realize your own humanity. I think that is what in these times we need.
Right.
That you don't need to have superpowers. You can do it.
So what was, when it comes to the actors, what was your first reaction when, YRF and Shiv came to you all with the script? I mean, what is it that kind of made you, sold? Because I was listening to one of your interviews and you said, "Okay, I'm just a call away. Somebody needs to approach me. Just they need to say, call me and then read the script."
Yeah,
What
the call
was it?
came.
The call came. Yeah. The call came, but you had to be convinced also, right?
Yeah, I wasn't convinced.
You weren't?
Initially.
Okay.
Because of my own devils, not because of anybody else. Yeah, I've said this again before.
And what are the devils?
The devils is skeptical about how it will turn out, because I initially, when Yogi had called me, he said we are making this on this subject and things like that. So it was YRF. So I thought the tendency might be to go in that direction in terms of the mainstream cinema. So I was slightly doubtful, and he then sent me the script. When I read the script, I was completely blown. I thought the screenplay was very good, and a good script is a script which has the potential to be brilliant.
Sure.
If a script is complete in itself, then there's nothing to do. You might as well read the script and not make the film. It had that potential. Then I, of course, met Shiv. Should I say that again? Okay. He didn't have a beard, then he was like clean shaven, so he looked like a bacha. So so I was not very sure again. Then I started chatting with him, and that's when I got kind of convinced, because the kind of research he had done and what his take on what he wanted to do with it completely surprised me.
Right.
So we just killed all the devils that were there.
In your mind.
So and then the first 2 days of shoot, I was completely convinced that everybody's aiming towards believable, depiction of everything, including the set, the way the station was prepared.
Yeah.
Every minute detail was taken care of. So then that's the area I like to play as an actor. So for me, that excites me. And I was so happy that I'm a part of this.
Right. Madhavan sir?
Everything that KK said was the same skepticism because, let's be fair, Yash Raj is not known to make realistic content. It's very aspirational content that they make. So this is all about the Bhopal cast. So I was trying to see what the Yash Raj angle to something like this will be. But all that vanished the moment I met Shiv and I saw the script. Immediately I was curious to know only one thing is why would Yash Raj want to invest in a script like this, and they were investing a lot of money. I would dare say the cost of a high budget film. And to have Shiv, as one of their proteges, wanting to make this his debut project, that became very, an intriguing factor for me.
Yeah.
And I knew immediately why when I read the script. And of course, we're all a product of our conditioning, brother. What decisions we take is always a product of the things that were told to us when we are young, or when we were young and when we were watching movies or hearing philosophers talk or elders talk, right? So when you see a project like this and you see, like Babil said very clearly, it makes heroes sort of very unheroic and normal people, right? Yeah. So God forbid you're also, when the younger generation sees this and they're, God forbid, faced in a situation like this, there's a thought that will run in their minds: do I want to be like one of those railwaymen and do what it takes that makes me feel right, or do I want to live with the guilt for the rest of my life? Yeah. If you're able to, with your content, create that question in somebody's mind, I think that content is spectacular. And I felt that this is one of those.
Right. Divyenndu?
Yeah, I mean, it's been covered mostly everything.
Sorry.
No, but
so all of y'all were skeptical?
Not only that part of it.
Yeah.
But it felt right. There was a ring to it, which it felt right. It has to be on paper first, as we all know. The script. I mean, when I read it, I was like, yeah, this is great. I mean, and again, Yash Raj is coming, backing it up. You meet the guy, and he sounds sensible, and it's like, sahi hai. That's also correct. The cast, the crew, everything sounds okay. Why not? And again, it's about a topic which we haven't really talked about so much, and to have that conversation would be nice. It's just it was a no-brainer. Yeah.
Babil,
I think in the first, in the question I answered this exact thing, that what attracted me to the script was the fact, the gaze of heroism and the gaze with which it looks at the concept of heroism, and it makes heroism accessible to the common man, and that is something that we thoroughly need in the world right now.
Shiv, I want to ask you, it's based on true events. You've taken liberties, you fictionalized the settings. Where do you draw a line between? Because it's a fine line where you go a little overboard and then it just goes into full-blown commercial thing, or it just doesn't translate on the screen. But out here we see it translating on the screen, where the true events are also look like true events, and it doesn't look that.
Yeah. So the show is based on true stories, and the event is the Bhopal gas leak, which is the backdrop of what happened, and some events that took place on the station, which is the backdrop of this story. These characters are of course fictional, but they're an amalgamation of, their journeys are an amalgamation of multiple stories that we read, that we heard, and anecdotes and stuff like that, all put together to give them character arcs.
Yeah.
And in terms of commercialization as such, there's this thing about how people talk about commercialization of stuff, which I don't really get. By commercialization, we actually mean
stupid stuff.
Yeah, which is not. Which is not true, because commercialization means engagement, and where you're riveted and where you're engaged in content and in watching something. Yeah. So I think if you say that if you're commercial you can't be this, then I would say Railwayman is commercial, because we're trying to engage you and trying to push it. But we use it it's we use it like a cuss word, which is not the right thing to do because our objective is that, eventually, like as a filmmaker, as a storyteller, as, talent, as artists, everyone wants to, quench the thirst of an audience.
Sure.
Eventually, we're doing it for them, for their happiness or whatever, right? So, like when they get happy, we get happy. When they get stimulated, when they, that conversation is stirred amongst them, that's our victory. And that, like, I feel like stories are meant to be, you're supposed to be engaged in stories. In fact, when I'm not, personally, this is my personal opinion, when I'm not engaged in a story, I tend to get bored, right? So, if commercial means engagement, then yes, this is also commercial. And if you're saying this is not commercial, then that means that this is not engaging either. So I'm just trying to get that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
KK sir, you said that this is the kind of territory that you like to play with. I mean, it's been more than 30 years in the industry now. Does it ever get tiring with the kind of scripts that come your way, and you have the kind of times you have to say no?
No, I do say no, but it's not tiring or boring. The day that happens, I'll quit.
Okay.
So I don't think that's yet. I think it's still far away. Hopefully. So
we also hope it's very far away.
So, but yeah, it doesn't get tiring or boring. It gives me a chance to explore a lot of things in terms of new stories, new people that you're playing, things like that. So it's always new in that sense.
Right.
Yet it's the same because it's still cinema. But the newness is what you need to pay attention to, so that it excites you to keep doing stuff which is interesting. So that's my simple take. So I don't really look at it as a labor. Art can never be labor. The moment it's labor, then you should not be doing it.
Right.
So it has to go beyond that. Hard work is there, physical hard work, mental, emotional hard work, but that's not labor. It's not. उसको ढूंढना नहीं पड़ता. So
but
that's how.
Has the streaming platform also allowed you to flex your acting abilities in terms of because it's a little long format. It's not like 2 घंटे में खत्म हो गई.
No, OTT. I mean, this longer formats help each department, including the director, the writer, actors, to flesh out certain things in detail, and also give a kind of closure to every story within that. So it's like if it's not just one story going, there are multiple stories going all the time, every time. So yeah, the duration is just right. It's not never ending like a television serial. At the same time, it's not too small for you to tell an entire story of 3-4 people and different tracks like cinema. So this is like a madhyam mark. It's like a middle path.
Sure.
So I think, and plus the craft required for a director and writer is different compared to an actor. They need to know when to close an episode and how to make it interesting at the end, so that people continue watching it for the next one.
Yeah.
So these are all little crafts that they have to endure. Right. We have to just act the way we act normally. So in that sense, we are safe. But they have a big job. They have to really make it interesting towards the end, so that next episode pe button chala jaye. Haan.
Madhu sir, I want to ask you turned director with Rocketry. Does the directorial instinct ever come out when you are on the sets as an actor?
Yeah.
It does?
It's a problem sometimes.
Okay.
I realized that I used to have that even before I did Rocketry, is where you feel like you have a little bit of more understanding of not just your job, but suggest what others should also do it. But I have understood over a period of time to keep in mind that a project is always one person's vision. So I do venture out suggestions, but they're only suggestions, and the repercussions of it being ignored or not taken has no bearing on my ability to give it.
Right. Divyenndu, I'd like to ask you this. You've done several kind of work, and one thing that has always stayed with you is one character, that is Munna Bhaiya. While a lot of actors would feel good, you've been recognized for one character, there are others who might say, I've been stereotyped. And this industry is, whatever said and done, is very, cruel, where it stereotypes people very fast. Do you still have to come out of that image every time when you're coming with a new project? And, or do people just go back?
Nahin. I mean, it's what it did for me is to give me like a complete sort of a spectrum, because I was doing a certain kind of roles, which is a comedy, boy next door, happy-go-lucky guy, to this sort of a dark this thing. So what it did for me is to give art directors a different perspective to look at me as an actor, like rather look at the DNA of me as an artist. And to it gave me an opportunity to sort of showcase my artillery, as an artist, that I have more things to also say. And yeah, you would always find people offering you similar sort of work, and you don't really always want to blame them, because it's their bandwidth of creativity.
Sure.
Everyone has their own bandwidth.
Yeah.
So if you don't gel with it, if you don't vibe with it, you say no nicely and you move on. It's totally up to you how big a baggage you want it to become. I don't take that kind of a baggage on me. I still feel very lucky that I got to play a part like that, where I felt good. I really enjoyed playing that particular character, and that's about it. Right. And if a similar sort of a character comes, if the story allows, the character has a different light to it, I would definitely go and try and do something else, maybe with the same shade, if it's written in a certain way, but not necessarily yes or not necessarily no.
Right. Yeah, Babil, tell me this, you were in the company of people like KK Sir, Madhavan and Divyenndu. What kind of things that you could just extract from their performance and like kind of just take it back?
The performance,
or just just to be on the set.
On the set, right? Because before I get to the people, just the set itself and the whole, the accuracy and detailing and the believability of that set, if that's a word, I don't know if it is. It allows you to let go of your preparation, which I think is a very important part in the flow of an actor, right? You prepare technically and intellectually as much as you can, and you try to, prepare your body and the mechanics. But the moment you arrive on set and before the take, you have to let go of that preparation and surrender, right, to what nature is trying to make you do.
Right.
So the whole believability of that, of the set, and then the people around me, which understood, in a lot of sense, what art meant to them, and had a great, profound interest in that. The whole feeling was, it was not intimidating at all. It was not competitive. It was an uplifting feeling where everybody was working to make the best. To make it the best, to just every day giving it our all. And I think it was one of the best times in my life, and I've said this in other interviews as well, that I don't think any acting school could have taught me as much as this film did. The series, this 4-part series coming on the 18th of November, only on Netflix.
Right.
Okay.
But I mean, both your releases have been on Netflix.
Yes.
Kala was something that it was a critical success, commercial. I mean, people loved it.
Yeah.
Friday Night Plan was something that it didn't create that kind of a buzz.
Yeah.
How do you look at the two things, and how does it make you even stronger?
Friday Night Plan didn't create?
No,
what
the kind of
what?
buzz that
I didn't know this. Netflix, you lied to me.
I mean, it was okay.
यार ये मेरे को पहली बार पता चल रहा है. This is the good reaction you got. This is the first time I've actually looked upon the success.
I
of
hope
something
Netflix
I've
doesn't
done.
cancel my subscription.
I don't. I think this is the first time I've actually looked upon. I've never looked upon the success of
Either of them.
Either of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do my best. I give it my all, and then I let it go, because I think KK sir also repeats this, like he says this a lot. I first heard it from Basho, the everything, even art has a destiny of its own. It's you when you do something, you tend to try to possess the the art, what has
Fine,
come out.
what has come out of it,
Yeah,
the outcome.
But you have to let go of that because that has its own destiny. Everything is alive,
Right.
in its own way.
Okay, so you've worked with Irfan sir and you've worked with him now. I mean, both of them are cut out of a different cloth.
Yes, he's his own individual.
Yeah, and can you just kind of elaborate? I mean, how was it with him and...
As I was saying earlier also, he has a certain element of how do you put it, unpreparedness while doing a scene. It looks unprepared, which I think he's just now explained to you, which is a very good quality. I think it's okay, you'll get your technicalities right eventually, but the fact that you can keep it pure is something that he possesses already. So, and what happens is over a journey of many years, you learn so many things, and ultimately you want to go back to that state of not knowing, you know, because that gives it a little bit of purity when you perform. Because designs get into your head over a period of time, many years, like we've put 30 years, so it gets into your head. Now you're yearning to get back to that purity by shunning those designs that you've pre-decided. I will say this line like this, I will do this, all that goes. So when that happens, you yearn for the purity. It comes in the beginning, which he already has. You know, an actor always has it. So he is an actor already. So he will shine the moment he doesn't go the way we went, you know, trying to build up on designs, etc., and keep that pure.
Right.
So, and that quality is already there in it. So I think it's a good quality to possess, and not to analyze it, not to, you know, kind of spoil it by analyzing it.
Right.
Too much praise.
Too much praise, easily.
No, I am just in awe of how many times he's repeated this in different ways, and it sounded like he's saying it for the first time every time.
I'll send you your outtakes. I'll send you the rejected takes.
Edit that much from all the interviews and keep it with you.
It took a lot of work to actually get that thing out of him. It was like, after...
KK sir, while giving me cues, was because I'd flow into the emotion, right? Because there's a line in the film about, you know, Ammi. I'm not going to say in the series. Sorry.
Four parts.
Sorry, sir. In the 4-part series, there's a
Four-part. Okay.
4-part series.
4-part series.
There's a line about Ammi in the series, and because I was so involved in that emotion and not experienced enough, you know, about the technicalities, as you know, KK sir would see that I was doing a good take, and he would also see that I'm forgetting a minor technicality, and he would, you know, while giving the cues, he would do something that would remind me of that minor technicality, and I would catch on that, and I would. So it was like it was an acting school. Like I learned so much.
Right. Shiv, I'd like to ask you, from one pager to the entire series now coming in, how do you see your journey, and how do you see this? This is something that you had imagined, or is it gone beyond your expectations?
See, beyond the expectations, only one person, only one way we'll know, when the audience watches it. Eventually, it's them, right? When they watch it, they recognize it. And like I said earlier, you know, they feel that, you know, this was something that they felt, you know, a certain kind of emotion while watching. I think that would be our victory. As far as the journey goes, obviously it's a long one. You know, the first time we got the first page of September 2018. Today we're in November 2023. Like 5 years and 3 months. But I think, like, when their validation comes, and if it does come, I think it'll make everything worth it. And that's what, you know, filmmakers, storytellers strive for.
Right. Thank you so much, everyone, and looking forward to watching The Railwayman again. I mean, I've already watched it, but the viewers should also watch The Railwayman.
What is your reaction? It's our interview to ask you a question. What is okay? So I mean, So what was your first reaction when you?
My initial reaction was, I mean, I started drawing into the attention. So I'll tell you. So there were, every character had a selling point for me. Like, I'll tell you, with Babil, when he leaves for the last time and he tells KK sir's character, you know, my passengers are coming, please take care of them.
Family, yeah.
My family is coming. Or for KK sir, when he goes to go and gives the girl who's lying down on the station and tries to give mouth-to-mouth breathing. Or for Madhavan sir, when he's motivating the entire crew, where he's saying, this is my family. Okay. Or for your, when the whole change of heart happens. And when you go back and keep the money again. So there were a lot of points where I was very convinced with the characters that came. Overall, I enjoyed it.
And you saw it in one go?
2 days.
2 days.
Yeah. So there was a little bit of work going around. So yeah, I finished the 2 episodes in the first part, and then.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Really
Thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, there were these selling points where you could just, it would tug your heart.
That's also the closing arcs of everyone.
Arcs of everyone. Yes. Thank you so much.
समझ तो आ रहा है भाई सबको. I think it ठीक है. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.